system. Networking, Net 1. It's Wednesday, week 7. The students went over to the network side, got their computers ready to config. Then we had them configure their IP addresses. I'll show you that. Then we had test in your network, see if they could ping people in your network, captured some packets, and then they examined the TCP packet and compared it to the number of things that we talked about in the curriculum, considering that. Okay? And then here's an overall picture of the lab we did. Okay? Some of the students were on the 1010 network, and I assigned those, I assigned addresses to them. Some of the students were on the 1021 network, okay? And they were all assigned addresses. We did an ARP, looked at that. We did a route print and looked at that. In this scenario, then, we talked about the ability to ping each other within the same network. Then they had to make sure they had the default gateway configured correctly up there at the top in the router. Then pretty soon we checked and they could ping the router. Then of course eventually then they could ping across. We looked at the routing table in the router. We talked about dynamic routing and we talked about static routing. And we also talked about routing protocols very briefly. We also then set up a default gateway in the router that led out to that 210, 10, 10, 10 up there in the corner. And they were able to ping that, and then they also were able to open up a browser with that in it. And then I showed them the routes. I showed them the route pointing back into the network. And so we used this scenario to cover the main topics in network layer. We talked about how the packets go from end to end, for example, from their PC to a PC on the other network, or out to that router and the browser. We reviewed, when we looked at Wireshark, we reviewed which part of Wireshark was showing you which part of the OSI model. And also when we were doing that, we were looking at the actual bits, and it was a good chance then to review the bits that we were looking at. For example, we had a set of bits, the first part of an IP address, and we calculated that that was a 172. We also had a set of bits representing the number 6, and so we looked at how those are obtained. So, even though we covered a lot of particulars in the 2 hours, that's an overview of what we did in the class today. And we started addressing. We took the Chapter 5 Network Layer test today, and we started addressing Friday. So that's it.